the latest episode of Blindspotting, Ashley continues to try to cope with the various criticisms that she's been receiving as Janelle's husband shows up, and Rainey is trying to prepare for the worst case scenario in case Miles isn't able to eventually get out before she ends up much worse than she already is. For the first topic, we're going to talk about Janelle potentially getting set up by her mom to have some alone time with Mustafa. And the gist of that all is, Mustafa realizes what he lost, as well as his daughter, and he's trying to win Janelle back by whatever means, including fighting for her love in almost a literal sense in terms of them doing karate and bumping into things and almost breaking them. But while after all that they end up cool, it doesn't seem that he's won her back and has really made up for the feelings of abandonment when he withdrew his love because his daughter was starting to call Janelle mom and he felt a certain type of way about that. But at the very least, they're talking, even talking in person, and they're cool. So for now, the door is potentially open, but I don't see Janelle running off through it. So the second topic goes into a Rainey situation, and right now her worry is that Trish cannot handle end-of-life care or any of the things that are likely to come. Miles is the person she trusts to handle this, but he's in jail, so he can't hold documents. Telling him passwords aren't going to be much help because he physically can't handle anything. Hence him saying, hey, talk to Ashley so she can on my behalf and help you out. But as shown, Ashley and Rainey don't have a good relationship, so Rainey's not for this and she decides to just sweep this under the rug. And granted, there's a lot of lumps in this rug at this point, especially regarding the topic of Ashley, but what can Rainey really do when she's probably the most capable person who can handle things in her life, but at the same time, their relationship is continually just caustic to the point where Rainey says to Miles that she pretty much feels like she's on eggshells when it comes to talking to her. So for the last topic, we have to go into what's going on with Ashley, and it seems in an effort to push back against Rainey saying that she's not fun and Trish saying that she's depressed, Ashley has really kind of latched onto Tina because Tina takes her out and Tina knows how to have fun, and Tina's not going to try to really get into what Ashley has going on. Instead, it's just going to relate to her in a way that Janelle can. But Janelle recognizes that Tina's not good for Ashley. With Tina, Ashley gets drunk to the point of thinking there's a white boy in the club who's nice to her is Miles and makes out with him, and she has instant regret. Yet, what does Tina do? Tina doesn't try to help her deal with this feeling or emotion, because Tina does this. Tina seemingly almost every weekend, well, maybe that's a bit excessive, but Tina does on a potentially consistent basis, goes out and finds a guy who could take the edge off because her man is locked up. And she accuses Ashley of being just like her because Ashley, she really is not trying to have someone push her to look in the mirror. She decides she's going to sop Tina for saying this. And with that, they get into a little fight. We see the Ashley that Janelle talked about from back in the day, and she whoops that ass. But even with whooping Tina's ass, Tina's like, after they fight, they kind of like boys. Like, she's like, okay, you whooped my ass, but you still want to go party? And Ashley's at the point where she's just like, I need to take my ass home. I'm drunk. I'm going to tell my best friend Janelle I love her. Go home. Try not to curse out Rainey because she's getting on my nerves, and then go to bed. And that is just what she does. So for this episode, I have to admit there's some questions that are left unanswered, and one of them is, when it comes to Ashley's family, I feel like there's more to this whole drinking thing that she's going through than Miles, Rainey, or even her son Sean. And I wonder if we may ever get a visit from her family, especially a brother, to know how they play a role in all this. So when it comes to notable performances or moments, those fight scenes, whether you're talking about Ashley whooping Tina's ass, or else the back and forth between Janelle and Mustafa, those are very good. I'm not going to say they give you Atomic Blonde or John Wick type of action scenes, But considering how in season 1 there was mostly like dance sequences and things of that nature, which were of course kind of weird in a way, it's nice to see that the choreography can be, what's the best word? That the choreography can be as crisp when it comes to fight scenes, even though when it came to the Cuddy fight scene with Rufio, things weren't as good, but at the same time, person who was a trained fighter, person who was a basketball player model, and also tall as hell, there's gonna be some awkwardness, but that awkwardness does not exist when it comes to the fights in this episode. The next highlight for me is Rainy's need to be able to trust in someone, and I think even though they're not trying to milk it, thankfully, you have to really recognize how scary and dramatic Rainy's life is at this point. Her son went to prison. His daughter, his wife and son have moved in, and then while Sean is definitely becoming one of the brood, Ashley kind of pushes away at the idea of a family. Yes, she's cool with Trish, but when it comes to Rainy, it's almost like she's triggered in a way by her own family that she doesn't want to get too close to Rainy, or else maybe something happened in their past where she just is waiting for that moment to really curse her out. And because of that, Rainy can't really be comfortable in her own household, and yet she wants to make sure that Sean has a home. She wants to make it so that when Miles gets out, if she's still fluid and thinking, maybe he can work with her to try to get Ashley to chill the fuck out. But until then, she has to hope that she's able to keep her wits up long enough so that if something happens, she's not relying on Trish. She'll probably break down and be unable to do anything. Never mind, perhaps have to deal with Ashley, who she feels may take a callous decision to try to do something that's maybe considered cruel. The last highlight deals with just the challenge of coping that we see with Tina and also with Ashley. Now, it could be very easy to damn Tina for cheating on her man, but at the same time, you have to also look at the grief that's involved and also the kind of stolen moments and opportunities as well. The person you love is inaccessible, limited in touching you beyond when a warden or whoever runs that prison program says you can touch, and yet just still human. You've been open to the idea of intimacy, never mind consistent intimacy with this one person and all the benefits that come with a relationship. Yet, worse than a teenager, you're limited to your expression and request to desire fulfillment. And I would think for Ashley it's no different. And then when you add in the whole idea that Miles gave her a sense of family through being with him and giving access to Trish and all the people that's in his life, it comes to a whole nother level. And I think her coping with that in many ways deals with her just focusing on survival, and now she's trying to have a life, party, and do things that maybe she couldn't do before because she had to be the mature one, because she had to grow up so fast. And watching her kind of allow herself to break down or break away from that perception that she had to hold up so long is gonna be something that's really interesting to watch, especially as people really challenge her to no longer just focus on trying to survive, but actually get to the point where she's built better for thriving, if not now, at the very least later. Overall, from notable fight scenes to seeing a softer side to Tina and Ashley, and also understanding and exploring what Rainy's going through, we get to see behind the curtains a bit, and it leads to yet another quality episode of Blindspotting.